my name is Karlyn Berg, and one of the dog sports I do with my dog is tracking. And he really loves it, and I love doing it with him because there's so many different things you can do in tracking. And we're going to start out with some beginner things because this is something you can do with your dog at home and have a lot of fun, even if you never plan to do competition tracking like I do. I started with my first dog, Raven, almost 16 years ago, and she tracked until she was almost 14 years old and really did a great job. Her puppy, Loki, who I have with me now, he was 13 weeks when he started tracking, so any dog of any age can do this. And Loki is now 11 years old, and we've had a wonderful time all these years learning more about tracking. Today I'm going to show you some of the basics and a game that you can do with your dog at home, which is a lot of fun, and I think you'll have a great time doing it. The first thing I'm going to do is show you some of the equipment. You don't need a whole lot of equipment to do tracking, but I want to show you some of the ideas so that down the road, if you want to continue this, you can keep tracking. And a matter of fact, in community ed, we'll probably have tracking classes out in the field like we have had in the past. So I look forward to having some of you as students in the future. But meanwhile, let's have some fun with our dogs today, just learning some fun ways to do tracking with our dogs at home. This is some of the equipment that you can use for tracking. A lot of this you don't need for today's games, but I wanted to show it to you so that you get an idea of what tracking materials look like. We do when we track in the woods or when we track at a distance, we use flags when we're training so that we can remember where our track is. It's important to remember where your track is so that you can help your dog while you're training and they know where they're going. These are some long poles that I use when I'm out in the woods and I need something I can see from far away. Another way to mark your track is to use clothespins that either you can spray a bright color or put a plastic ribbon on it. Another thing that we sometimes can use is a powder that you can puff on something if there's no place to stick a flag. Usually in tracking we use a harness because that way the dog can pull you through the woods or go over any terrain without him being pulled by the neck like he would if he was wearing just his collar. Usually tracking lines are 33 feet long, and these are just two examples. One is biotin, which is a rubber, and another is a fabric one. I often use these gloves on my hands when I'm tracking Loki because he's a very big German Shepherd, and when he goes really fast, sometimes my hands might hurt when I'm holding the line. But today for this job, we're only going to need a regular leash, any leash at all. It can be 4 feet long or 6 feet or 8 feet. Any dog leash at all works fine. The thing the dog is tracking are articles. And articles are any kind of item that you can find in your junk drawer or an old sock or something that you're not using anymore. I use old gloves. I use pieces of rug. I try to find them in different colors so that when we go in the woods, I might put the brown one where it's more brown ground or the light color one where it's more sandy. A piece of wood, fabric, leather are the main things you use, and fabric. Little gloves, leather, it could be a wallet that has fallen apart and you can cut it up, an old sock, or even an old toy you might have around that can pick up scent. Of course, you're going to need treats because when they find the articles, that's what you're going to give to them as a reward at every article. As you get at a higher level, the articles get more complicated and they can be made out of metal or plastic. We don't use those today because plastic and metal is very hard to put a scent on and have it last long. So beginner dogs shouldn't use those. They should just use the things like here, fabric and leather and easy things to put a scent on. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is show you how to lay a track for your dog. Many people say, well, what are they tracking? They're tracking the track layer scent. And in this case, it'll be you. Your dog will be tracking your odor and where you've left articles that have your scent on them. In tracking before a competition, the track layer, who you don't know who it's going to be, might even wear the first article, the scarf, around their neck for a while so that their odor really gets on it because your dog won't know them. And then, of course, they will also have these articles with them. Some people even sleep with their articles before they lay a track for somebody in competition. So you do want to know it's something that you've got your scent on, and you can even rub it on yourself and make sure that your scent is on there, especially when your dog is learning. When your first dog goes out there, he's not going to know what you want him to do. So remember, this takes time, and this is just a practice thing for fun. But you'll be surprised how fast they get it. So don't be disappointed if they don't do it right away. It takes a couple of tries sometimes, and then eventually, boy, they can hardly wait to get out there. Because remember, they're going to get a treat every time they go to an article and they notice it. Your dog will run to the article and might not do anything. So you're going to maybe point to it and show them, hey, what's that? And when they do that and they touch that article, you treat them like, yeah, good dog. What a great job. You found an article. And then you move on. The easy way to start a dog is you have to first imagine now, when I'm doing this, that your dog is sitting in a place. If your dog won't stay in one place, have somebody hold your dog while you show him the track as you lay it out. And you'll be walking backwards, so you have to be careful. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go backwards, and you can pretend that Loki's there where the camera is, but he's in the car right now. And you'll take the scarf, because that's almost always the first article that they come across that has your odor on it. And you'll back up, and you'll put the scarf down, and you'll say, oh, look at this. And make your dog say, wow, what's that they're putting down? You want to put it down because then they're going to be excited. And as I back up, I'm going to lay an article down, and I'm going to go backwards. Another thing about this is if you have a big dog, you need a little more space between articles because they need more space to get to the next one. A smaller dog can go a little closer. So I'm going to back up and lay this for a big dog like Loki, and hopefully you can see what I'm doing. Take the article. Look at that, look at that. Then I back up. Look, great article. Oh, and I put it down. Then I back up some more. Now you probably saw that when I laid the last article and I left, I didn't walk back across where I had just backed up and laid articles. I went away from that track because I want the dog to go straight down that line, and then I go over here so I'm not walking on the track I just laid. Dogs know the direction, so if I'm walking that way, they know that's the direction of the track. If I walk back across it, I've actually kind of made it harder for them. So I walk away and I come around in a circle and I come back to where I started, and then I can get my dog. I'm going to go get Loki now. I'm going to take him to this first start article, and I usually get him to lay down at that article. You don't have to worry about that yet, but the nice thing about that is that they get the odor because they're right down there by it. I'm going to pretend Loki doesn't know what he's doing so you can see how to start a dog, and we'll just pretend that he doesn't know what to do and that he will then be like a beginner dog, and you'll see exactly the difference. Another thing with getting the treat is that that's what they're really working for, is the treat. So before you go tracking, one of the number one things to do is don't feed your dog, so they really want this treat all the more. And also make sure you walk the dog before you go tracking. That way they don't have to worry about having to go to the bathroom. They'll be concentrating on their job. Okay, we're going to try Loki doing this track, and you can see what it looks like. Loki, come on. I'm going to hook him up to his harness so that he knows what his job is. What's that? Is that something for you? Is that something for you? Oh, what a good boy. What a good boy. What a good boy. Yeah. Loki knows to drop on a track, but that comes later. Good boy. What a good job you did. You found that article. Wow. Okay, let's go. Oh, yes. Good boy. What a good dog. What did you find? What What did you find? Yes, good boy. Yes, good boy. Let's go. What's that? Is that something? What's there? What did you find? Did you find something? Yay, Loki. Yay. Good boy. Good boy. What a good job you did. What a good job. Yeah, what a good job. Good boy. Good boy. Is there something there? What's there? Yay, Loki. Good boy. What a good boy. Did you touch? Oh, yes, good boy. Good boy. Yay. Good job. Yay, good job done. Good job. Yay. Okay, you can see it's really important for a dog to really appreciate what they've done. Another fun game to get a dog used to finding articles, and you might even want to start with this game before the other one, is to have a bunch of articles or fabric and throw them in a big circle. You throw them around in a circle, and then you bring your dog out on a leash, and every time they run to one of these articles and touch it, you give them a treat and say, what a great job. They haven't really searched or tracked to find it, but it gets them interested because the idea is that finding the articles is the name of this game. And if they were ever to go in a competition, they got to find all the articles out on the track. I'll show you how it goes. I'm just going to arbitrarily throw them around in a circle. You can see that they can see the articles, and so it's not like a big mystery. I'm going to go get Loki and show you how it's done. Okay, Loki, let's go check this out. Yay! Look what you did. You found a glove. Hooray, Loki! Yay! Oh, what a good boy! Yeah, that's a good job. You found that one already. See if you can find another thing. Wow! Look what you found! Yay! Whoa! What a good dog finding all these gloves. Any more? There any more? Oh, what did you find? Yay! Oh, look what you found! What a good boy! Anything else? You got anything else to find? Oh, you found that one. Let's find another one. Oh, you're such a good boy. You're such a good boy. Okay, let's go find another. Oh, you didn't find that before. Yes. Is that something we should find? Yes. What a good boy. What a good guy. Let's see if there's anything else to find. Anything else? Oh, another glove. Yay. Oh, what a good boy. What a good boy. Yay, you found everything. What a good dog. I hope you've enjoyed seeing some of these two games that you can play with your dog. One thing I want to point out is that when I treat Loki for finding the article, I make sure that I put the treat down by the article so he knows it's the article that he got paid for finding. And not just treating him up here, but treating him right down there on the ground where that article is. Because then he'll say to himself, if I touch that article and I get down there and touch it, I get a treat. And that's what he's looking for. Well, I hope you found that these two games are fun to play with your dog. And you can modify them, and remember, you might have to do them a few times before your dog really catches on. Then you can start spreading out the articles a little bit, and you can do a little more experimentation yourself. I hope you've enjoyed learning these few things, and maybe we'll get back together again and try some other advanced articles. And you're always welcome to write to me if you have a question about how to do this. Thank you for watching.
Make your own video for Community Ed. Contact us at getlearning.org.